Hey there,
Hello, everybody. You are tuned into Normal. My name is Neo.
and my name is Lebu. Today we have a really interesting topic. I mean, we always have interesting topics, right? If you think so, please do put it down below in comments. So today's topic is that is joint venture the best route to actually take?
I mean, as a property investor, especially when you're starting, you hear terminologies like other people's money and JVs, joint ventures. Now, what is the practicality of using that in your strategy?
You know, when someone comes to us and is like, yo guys, I'm thinking of going into a JV, you know that they have actually been watching or doing a lot of research in terms of property investing. However, let's now start unfolding what a joint venture really means for everybody. Before we actually speak about the implications of joint venture, let's start by understanding what is joint venture, right? So joint venture basically, according to my understanding, is that it's me and Neo coming together in order for us to actually buy a certain property or invest in a certain property. So now with joint venture, what this basically means is that me and Neo come from two total backgrounds, right? We have two total different perspectives. And now we're coming together to actually do one cause.
Yeah. I mean, now, what is the practicality of that? If Lebo and I are coming together, we need to have a fixed strategy. We need to have a fixed goal. We need to actually understand that these are the terms and conditions that we are actually going into this property, because the thing with joint venture is the more people you actually get is the more stress it can be. From decision making of the name of the company itself can be a mission and a half if there's about 20 people and everybody wants their voice to be heard. So it's very important that we all have a common goal before we even get to the part whereby we're taking out money.
Let's kickstart this whole thing. So, for the first part, right, I'd like to speak about the positive of joint venture. I mean, by the way, Noah spoke about it. He's not really up for joint venture, right? So now with joint venture, what I do actually like about it is that when we are actually coming together, say for instance, it's me, Neo, and you, right? We're coming together to actually buy this particular property. This means that our affordability actually goes up if we're all responsible as far as using the money properly. So now if say for instance I'm able to actually apply for a bond that's worth 800,000, Neo is able to apply for a bond that's worth 500,000, then you are able to actually apply for a bond that's worth 1 million. That means that in total we can actually apply for a property that's worth 2.3 million. I mean, that's more cash flow on our side rather than if I was actually going at it alone. And we're always saying that property investing journey, man, it's always lonely, especially if you're actually traveling it alone. So now, when you're looking at joint venture, that is actually something to consider. That if I'm coming through with everybody that I know that want to push this property investing thing, then probably joint venture would be a route to go. However, I'm not saying that I am for joint venture. I'm just giving you the good perspective of joint venture.
I like how you said it, Level, because now we are leveraging off each other's credit so that we can actually apply for a certain property. Or even the fact that, let's just say that me alone, I cannot buy a property because let's just say I could only afford 200,000, and the houses that I actually wanted to go into, they're about 600,000. So now through joint venture, it actually even opens up the market whereby I can actually practically invest. I can invest with you and you using the joint venture strategy, man.
Sure. So now looking at what we have actually spoken about, right?
Yeah.
Before we actually go in towards the disadvantages, right? What would you say that is the last advantage that you'd actually like to point out in terms of joint venture?
Let's just say that I don't have the down payment, I don't have the transfer costs. Let's just say the transfer cost actually went up to 80,000. Down payment is 100,000, and I don't have that money. So if it's a joint venture and we all do an agreement whereby we all take out an equal piece of this line, I'm able to actually afford that. So it also helps from affordability, access, and yeah, it really does actually open doors when you're looking at it from accessibility.
And
Joint
now,
venture.
thank you for that. So now with joint venture, remember it's not only the capital invested that we also take into consideration. We're also taking into consideration what you actually bring to the party.
Yeah.
So say for instance, I'm a property investor and I'm able to actually run numbers. I'm able to find deals. I have a connection in terms of finding estate agents that can actually give us deals. That means that chances are I'm actually going to get paid more than someone who doesn't actually know anything about property investors. So now let me give you a practical example. If we were to actually go out and find someone who would source a deal for us, that would cost us around 20,000, right? And if I'm a property investor and I'm sourcing deals for this company that we actually started, that means I'm saving us a huge 20,000, right? Which means that this might be also another way of me being remunerated at the end of the process. And if Neo is a transferring attorney, we can actually get a huge discount as far as his fees. So now in that way, he needs to then be remunerated accordingly. So now with joint venture, it's not only the money part of it, however, it's also the skills that you actually bring towards the group.
Yes. And even from the time, if you do not have the time to actually be investing in properties, you can find somebody who can actually partner with you and find these good deals, man. Or vice versa. If you do not have the money, then you can actually work around that. But it's very important to actually understand now us getting to the bad side of joint venture. It's very important to understand that once you get more than one person, politics is inevitable, whether it's good politics or even bad politics. However, at the end of the day, you do not want to find yourself in a situation whereby the property itself is at risk because of the politics that may happen in the joint venture.
Most definitely. So now there's this term or this quote that we actually heard or we went past, right? That what's better than two good generals, one bad one. The reason behind that is that, say for instance, if I'm having a joint venture with Neo, and Neo is not really reliable as far as him picking up the phone on time, that means that it's going to delay the whole process of us investing in a particular property. So now, say for instance, right now, I just got a call from my estate agent and they told me that they do have a deal. And I'm trying to call Neo, be like, Neo, where are you? I have this deal. And Neo's not really answering the phone until tomorrow. The problem might be that it might have been closed when Neo does actually answer the phone. So the more people there are in the group, the more the more time the decision making has to actually take place, and you can actually lose out on a deal because of that particular element.
I mean, even while we're on decision making, if we do not all have one vision, especially when it comes to the strategy and how tactical. Why am I saying how tactical the strategy can get? Property investing is not just looking at a property and saying, you know what, that's the property that we're buying. There's so much that actually goes into it. So we all need to actually be tactically aware of the back office with regards to the property investing side. So let's just say, for instance sake, if 4 out of 7 of us do not understand why are we investing in property, and you find out that this 4 wants us to buy property in a democratic way whereby we're voting, we can easily lose out on good properties and actually buy bad properties. So what am I saying when I'm saying bad properties? We've seen this so much with people actually reaching out to us. If you haven't reached out to us, man, hit the link below. Let's set up a Zoom meeting and we'll be there. So people have been reaching out to us and say, guys, you know what? It's the 7 of us or it's the 8 of us. We want to buy properties and we're ready, man. And then you ask them, what is your criteria? We don't have a criteria. What informs you to buy this property? We don't. Nothing informs us. We just like this property because it has a jacuzzi. And then you get to understand that property investing is not about just the jacuzzi. We really need to understand that, are we investing in wealth or are we just buying the property? However, if we are saying that financial freedom is in the picture, if we are talking about generational wealth, if we are talking about cash flow, then there is an informed way whereby we need to be aware of what type of properties are we buying.
I really like that you actually pointed that out, because now at the end of the day our goals need to be aligned. If Neo was in it to flip a property and I was in it to actually rent out the property, then already we have two ideas that are actually conflicting. So now imagine what happens if there's 7 more people that are within this particular thing. Because one will be saying that, guys, I just heard my son is talking about Airbnb. The other one will be saying that, no, guys, from my side, I think that we can actually rent this house out. So now, if our strategy is not actually aligned before we even sign anything, then it becomes a huge problem. So now, what I would actually suggest, if you were actually thinking about going in towards a partnership or some sort of joint venture, is that you need to sit down with your partners and actually understand that where do they actually want to take it. I know most of the time we're all saying generational wealth. However, which steps are we going towards generational wealth? Are we actually going to be taking this money that we have right now, buying a property, to get more money as far as flipping, or are we actually going to be renting out this property to actually get a stable income from this particular property? And now remember, if you haven't really invested in yourself, or if the person that's actually getting these deals hasn't really invested in themselves in terms of knowing how to buy this particular property, then it becomes a problem for you, because you will give them the money hoping that they will be buying the right property, only to find out that this property will be cash flow negative, or it might cash flow, however it's cash flowing 200 rand, and you need to actually split that 200 four ways. So it's not the best way to actually do it. So now make sure that you invest in yourself before you start actually investing in property.
That's like $50 a month. And then if you want to actually take it to a year, it's quite scary.
And also hoping that nothing actually happens within that property. So nothing breaks, no tax laws that are going to actually be implemented.
Tenant doesn't leave.
The tenant doesn't actually leave. So you just need to hope for that.
Yeah. I mean, also, again, guys, the thing that hits me so bad about joint ventures is that we need to be aware, especially when it comes to the legal side of joint venture. As much as it can be the 10 of us, and then the first property will be under Lebo, the second property will be under Neo, the third property will be under you. And then what happens if, as soon as we buy Lebo a property, and then he decides to be like, you know what, guys, I'm happy. I've seen the fruits of joint venture. Hope you guys actually do well. So now it'll actually be a mess, because I can only imagine from the other team side, let's just say that we are all buying a property and it's under all of us at one go. So now we need to also understand the marriage side. If I am married in community of property, we need to understand how is this going to affect our investment portfolio before we even start investing. Because one thing for sure, we don't want my dirty mess to actually mess up the property portfolio. So we need to actually make sure that we're protected at all costs.
So now I'm always looking over Neo's shoulder, making sure that his relationship is on point, because should it not be on point, we all going to lose this whole thing. So now just make sure that when you are actually going in towards a joint venture, you know who you're actually dealing with, you have your strategies aligned together, and also, man, you're having fun and investing in yourself.
Guys, as much as joint venture can be exciting, it can be a new journey for all of us. However, you need to be practical about what is happening, because whereby we can all come through with a good intention that we want to invest in ourselves, we want to uplift each other, we want our families to actually be set, only to find out that we have bought the wrong property. So buying the wrong property through a joint venture, that can actually mess up the whole process, and then we end up fighting. So it's very important to actually understand the magnitude of knowing that what are we putting ourselves into when we are saying that we want a joint venture, man, or we want to use other people's money. It's very important that we don't just think about it's an easy way to get money and invest. There's so much towards it, and at the end of the day, we're trying to build each other. So through building each other, we need to do it the right way, man.
At this point, I'm sure you actually had a lot, right? So now that is what we wanted. That's what we wanted to actually speak about this week. Hope you actually had a good time. Make sure that you have actually subscribed, and also ring the notification bell, because we come to you every Thursday speaking about property investment, man. Who else does this?
Nothing but value. #invest like a pro. No wealth signing out.
Cheers.